Folks, life is a box of dog dirt. You just never know what you're gonna get. Welcome back to the semifinals of Heir's first dog dirt tournament. Speaking of dog dirt, let's take a look at the autogen armies. This one's going to be between myself and Ikatclaw in the first of two semifinal matches. I get the Warriors of Chaos, and what did they give me? Well, I've got a unit of Forsaken, a couple of Chaos Trolls, the non-armored variety, an Exalted Hero on a steed, and then I have some Chaos Warriors and a Mirror Guard up front, and then a secondary line, some Aspiring Champions. I have 2 units of Spawn, and then interestingly enough, I got 2 Hell Cannons, one normal one, and then also the Soul of Damnation. My Lord is just a Chaos Lord on foot, could not be more vanilla. And then I've got a Manticore and some Poison Warhounds. The Bretonnian army is going to consist of several Pegasus Knights. When I saw this, I was absolutely terrified. So there's 2 Royal Pegasus Knights and 1 Standard Pegasus Knight. These guys are going to dish some huge anti-large and charge bonus hits. There is a Field Trebuchet of the Blessed variety, a couple of Men-at-Arms with pole arms, and they are surrounding a Men-at-Arms with swords, and a Spear Men-at-Arms, as well as a Peasant Bowman. The leader of the Bretonnian forces is a Lord on Pegasus, no Spellcaster. Neither one of us got a Spellcaster, thank you very much, AutoGen, CA please. And then there's going to be a Knights of the Realm, a Defenders of the Fleur de Ris, which is a Knights Errant Regiment of Renown, and then a Standard Knights Errant. So my Hell Cannon, I'm going to target some of the cavalry here. I know that the cavalry is a big threat, and then I want to weaken the infantry with one of my Hell Cannons, but I'm really hoping to damage the Knights Errant as much as possible. And the Hell Cannon, not great against cavalry, but if I get enough shots off, I can certainly get some work done. The last thing I want is for Bretonnia to just absolutely zerg me. I feel like if Bretonnia comes swinging in with the infantry to hold the front just momentarily, they can hit me so hard from behind that I won't be able to hold off. But instead, Bretonnia kind of settles in for a little bit of a ranged fight here. And I'm kind of okay with that, at least is how I wanted to go. His Pegasus Knights came in, and I realized my Manticore was going to be doomed, so I took the Manticore and swung over towards the Bretonnian army, just kind of thinking about what damage I could cause. Could I go after the Blessed Field Trebuchet? I didn't know if I could beat the Lord, and so I just kind of ignored him because I wanted to get behind the archers. The archers were supporting him. You can see I've pulled up my my Spawn and Trolls as close to the Hell Cannon as I can, along with infantry, because if I get charged by the Peg Knights, I want to bog them down and be able to kill them using my Trolls and infantry as a combo. And meanwhile, I'm just using the Hell Cannons to cause all the damage that I can here. And Hell Cannons sometimes very good, sometimes not so great. My Manticore isn't going to be able to do what I need him to, but I do decide to just suicide him into the Bretonnian Lord because he's obviously going to die over here in a fight with the Pegasus Knights. So the Pegasus Knights do take an initial charge, and they really can't get a piece of my Soul of Damnation very well because I had it guarded by these big units that kind of block the charge, and I took some pretty severe damage to that Chaos Spawn, as you can see, and the Pegasus Knights will lose a couple of models, but they'll be able to get back up into the air alive. And I'm kind of surprised that I haven't been attacked by the cavalry, because the longer they don't attack me, without pulling completely out of range, the Hell Cannon's going to really pay for itself very, very well here. You can see the same thing over here. Now, the Bretonnian Lord does best my Manticore, but not before my Manticore rampages and ends up causing some pretty extreme damage himself. So I was pretty happy with the way this turned out, because the Bretonnian Lord has at least been mostly neutralized in this fight, though I don't believe my Manticore will actually finish him. But it's going to be a pretty good trade for me nonetheless. And at this point, I mean, I feel like as long as I can keep the Hell Cannon safe, I think I can win this. I think I've got the means to win it. It's going to be an ugly fight here and there. You can see here the Knights of Bretonnia charging in. Fortunately for me, I weakened them somewhat significantly. And my cannon did not explode on contact there either, which was fortunate. But you've also got the Field Trebuchet pounding its way in here, and here comes some more Knight charge from the Pegasus Knights. But again, you can see I've got my Chaos Stunties bodyguarded with the Chaos Spawn, and the Spawn are able to at least just keep that charge from connecting. They've taken tremendous damage, though, from these Pegasus Knights. You can see the Knights Errant, though, get pushed back, and the Soul of Damnation remains safe over here, albeit it did take some damage along the way, and is a little bit open to attack now. So this battle is going to continue on. I feel like I certainly hold a small advantage here. That's exactly what the power bar says at the moment too, my Manticore came back from routing, and I got a second chance to try and suicide attack the Bretonnian Lord, and it is a very close fight. The Manticore very nearly made me extremely proud there, but nonetheless, I am proud of him. Should have given him a name, you know, like something endearing. Old Manty or something. Did a great job for me in this fight where I thought he was going to just end up getting eaten alive by Pegasus Knights. These Hell Cannons, though, are just really dishing it out. I've got 109 kills on one Hell Cannon, 25 on the other, but that's mostly cavalry kills on the Soul of Damnation, so I'm happy to take that. My Exalted Hero is going to be fairly helpful here, too. He's a little bit mobile, help me get around. There is a Paladin we still have to deal with, but at this point, you know, a Chaos Warrior and a Mirror Guard should be more than a match for all of this Bretonnian infantry, or the Forsaken even. But we still have to guard against all these Pegasus Knights. Now, the Bretonnian Lord has decided to kind of sit it out in the back because he can't come anywhere over here and really fight very well. So he's going to mostly be hanging out in the back. The Trebuchet is firing, probably trying to hit my Hell Cannon. But I'm kind of surprised the Trebuchet isn't going for, like, say, something like a Mirror Guard at this point. Because the Hell Cannon is kind of difficult for a Trebuchet to hit. You might get lucky and destroy it, but if you don't, it's going to continue to fire. I actually manually aimed a couple of shots here for fun while there was a lull in the fighting, and was able to get some manual Hell Cannon shots into. I'm really trying to maximize. Look at 153 kills on the Soul of Damnation. It's, I guess, creating ammo for itself in the future by sending these souls to the next realm. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and fast forward a little, kind of show you what happens here. The Bretonnian stands off for a little bit, and then has really no choice but to dive in. My Chaos Warrior's looking pretty confident, I think, at the moment. But here comes the attack, and over here we get hit by a Knights of the Realm. Now this is an anti-large Knight, and he's going to be supported by Pegasus Knights, so I'm going to be getting hit hard on this flank, real hard. The Poison Warhounds will help a little. I swing over some Mirror Guard to try and help support this fight. But I've also got to deal with a little bit of infantry over here, and I'm trying not to just leave one flank completely undefended. And this is a pretty good hit by Bretonnia, but they're not going to be able to stick around in here forever, not with all this armored infantry. This armored infantry is not really what these units are great at killing. It's going to bog them down, and it's going to make life difficult. And the Chaos Spawn being unbreakable here ends up being a real boon to me. And then the way they've mixed in with the Warhounds also comes in handy because it makes it more difficult for the cavalry to retreat. I swing the Exalted Hero over to help, and things are looking really good for me at the moment. The balance of power is pretty even, but honestly, I think it's pretty handy here in my favor. Bretonnian Lord still hasn't moved over here. I don't know if that's purposeful or not by Ikit Claw, like maybe he didn't want to get him killed so he could keep the leadership up. But I'm going to go ahead and pull the Forsaken out of that fight, too, with the Paladin. There's really no need. My Chaos Lord should be able to handle that. And I really want to swing the Forsaken around, try and trap some of this cavalry in this fight. At least that's what I think I'm attempting to do here, if I remember the battle properly. Meanwhile, yeah, you can see the Chaos Lord. He can handle that Paladin. And then my warriors over here have enough armor and support from the Trolls and the Aspiring Champion that this Hell Cannon was safe until I ran out of ammo. Had 102 kills. Look at that, though. The Soul of Damnation. 177 kills. Not bad. Not bad at all. And Bretonnia is in pretty rough shape at this point. There's going to be some more kind of skirmishing around. I'll just kind of fast forward. A lot of dive bombing from the Pegasus Knights. This is what they need to do in order to try and maximize their potential to win. But they're just kind of running out of options. You can see the power bar is slowly circling into my favor, though. Good idea to use the rest of the ammo on this field trebuchet. That's absolutely, Ikit Claw should use that up. I don't have any artillery left, and he needs to take whatever kills he can get here. And you can see, you know, good charges here. Come in, do the damage, get out. I can't stop him from doing that, and that's absolutely what he should be doing. All I can do is kind of keep my forces relatively close to each other, so that I don't let them swamp out one unit at a time and end up opening myself up for defeat here. And you can see there, look at, oh boy, that hit. Those Trolls got hit hard. Once their friends came on over, though, you can see that the Trolls recovered their leadership. But I mean, you can see how hard those Pegasus Knights will hit. Yeah, just not enough meat here left for Bretonnia to cut their way through this. It's the Dog Dirt tournament. There's a lot of tough breaks in it. I think in this case, I was a little bit surprised he didn't rush me faster. I'm not saying it would have worked, but with the two Hell Cannons there, that's certainly what I would have wanted to do. Again, doesn't make it the right decision, but I would have wanted to rush, because I feel like if all this cavalry can coordinate a couple of quick strikes together, may be able to take out a whole flank of Chaos, especially if that Lord can get in there and support and didn't end up sitting back there fighting alone. with a Manticore, because with that leadership support in there, it can make a big difference at shutting down one of the flanks real quick. So like maybe you charge some cavalry in, that gets the attention, then smack the trolls and other stuff from behind with the Pegasus dive bomb. I mean, it would be brutal. And then if you had some leadership around to help, prop it up. Now, of course, aspiring champions being in the area, that's going to make this a little harder. But hey, fun play from Claw. He did well in this tournament, and like all the others in this tournament, other than myself, of course, I'm not buying myself gifts. He's going to get himself a nice $15 Steam card. Let's move on to the other semifinal match, which is going to be between between our Regina and Navarro. More dog dirt, folks. More dog dirt. Regina ended up with Dark Elves, and Navarro, or Fiendfire as it is here, because of the difference between his Steam and Discord name, has the Empire. Empire, always a risky one. I think you all saw in my initial match against the Empire. And by the way, after the first round, we did reset the auto faction picker. During like a certain round, though, we would, once the factions were used once, we would leave them out. That's going to be the rule, at least going forward. And we did that here, so it's reset. That's why the Empire is now available again. As for the Empire here, they've got some Reichsguard Knights, Knights of the Everlasting Light. You can end up with these campaign units because you can't use an auto-gen army without the unit caps being unchecked, which does allow campaign units. Up front, you're going to have some Spearmen, some Nordland Marines, some Swordsmen, Demigryph Knights. Wow. 2 Demigryph Knights with halberds over here, one of which is Silver Chevron, a standard Demigryph Knight. They have the White Wolves Huntsman, an Empire Captain, and Karl Franz on a Warhorse here. And he doesn't come with his special ability, so he does not have the Reichland Runefang, or what's the other one? Galbaraz. So he does not have either one of the, or Galmaraz, whatever it is. He doesn't have those 2 weapons on him. But a lot of cavalry power here for the Empire. A lot of cavalry power. Now, the Knights of the Everlasting Light, for those not familiar with them, do have a special magic ability that takes away melee, the melee attack of the units around them. So a very cool unit indeed. They can combine nicely to debuff some stuff. Now, as for the Dark Elves, they're going to have a Supreme Sorceress, Lore of Fire, with all the spells, of course, because that's how the AI picks it. A Dark Rider Repeater Crossbow, 2 more Dark Riders with shields, both with shields. We have 1 Shades with Great Swords. This is going to be a devastatingly painful missile unit from distance, and then if it cannot get charged by cavalry, it'll be very good in melee afterwards. It's supported by a Cainite Assassin, which is a special hero with poison missile attack. Very high damage against unarmored targets, or just given time against armored ones. There's a Harganeth Executioner and a Blackheart Corsair and a Sister of Slaughter in the middle. This is some significant infantry power, and then on top of that, there's a Blackguard. And then a couple of Dark Shards in the back, one of which has shields. That's a lot of Empire cavalry that the Dark Elves are going to have to deal with. Should be interesting to see how that plays out. If the Empire could busy the infantry even for just a moment and maybe clear out the Dark Shards, I feel like they would have a pretty good potential here. Let's just see how it plays out. I'm going to hit play. You can see the Supreme Sorceress opening up with a fireball, looking to do some damage to the Empire Captain, who takes it in the face. Definitely takes a nasty fireball there. Let's see what the Empire decides to do. I mean, they have these Gunderman's Surefire as handgunners here as well that I don't think I specifically called out earlier. If they get some shots from range on like the Harganeth Executioners or something, they would pay off nicely. Now remember, the Empire player cannot see the Shades nor the Cainite Assassin over here. So those units will be invisible. Oh, now they're probably visible, yeah, because the Shades and the Assassin are going to come out. Oh, yeah, this Empire Cavalry is going to get buried deep here. There are Dark Riders, but that is a lot of armor-piercing missile support there. Let's see how that plays out. Looks like Franz is going to go after the Cainite Assassin. Let's see how that plays out. Infantry-wise here, the Dark Elves are going to absolutely shred this Empire infantry unless some cavalry arrives very soon, and it's not. The Demigryph Knights are swinging farther behind, and they're not here, so Dark Elves are going to absolutely chew up this cavalry. Look at the Surefires here, though. Getting some damage done, and you can see Karl making pretty short work of the Cainite Assassin, while the Shades are trying to do some work on the cavalry, and it looks like the Dark Riders pulled out and came back for a second charge. That Assassin got wrecked by Franz. But yeah, now those Shades with Great Swords, those are going to actually be pretty potent in melee here, especially if the Dark Riders will kind of help body block for them a little. You're going to see this Knights of the Everlasting Light take some damage, but a -9 melee attack aura is going to be pretty crappy for some of these units around to deal with. Interesting battle so far. Dark Elf Infantry Look at this nice support here by the Blackguard. One of the Demigryph Knights is in big trouble, but the Dark Shards got absolutely chewed apart. And so the Empire player doing what he can here, but then lost his Gunderman Surefire to a Blackguard Corsair, a Dark Rider over here. So very nicely done by Regina with the light cavalry, cleaning up the Empire's skirmishing capability. There's a regrouped Reichsguard protecting the White Wolves back here. And look at the Shades with great swords. Not ideal at fighting cavalry, but they are getting some damage done to the Knights of the Everlasting Light, along with the Dark Riders to help there. Not where you really want your Shades with great sword engaged, but now we've got Murderous Prowess engaged, so you're going to see some significant combat buffs here for the Dark Elves over the next short while. And you can see that the Blackguard is absolutely owning. The Executioners are almost untouched, and the Empire Cavalry has taken a lot more damage than it needed to have a chance to pull this off. So it's looking really good, honestly, probably for the Dark Elves over the run here, because a lot of the skirmishing potential for the Empire has been at least diminished. But look at this, the Gunderman Surefires come back. They want some seconds, and they are sure shots indeed, as they cleaned up some of those Dark Riders. But I mean, these Blackguard, the Supreme Sorceress is kind of untouchable now for the Dark Elves, because the Empire just, I mean, with the White Wolves as the only unit here, not much the Empire can do to kill that Supreme Sorceress, and then that leaves the Empire struggling to defeat a lot of really high-quality infantry. The Dark Elves have some fantastic infantry for almost every situation, honestly. Sisters of Slaughter absolutely destroy everything with low armor. Hargonath Executioners, really good high armor infantry, and then the Blackguard are some of the best anti-large infantry in the game. So the Dark Elves have long been a very competitive faction, and even with the auto build here, since some of these good units got in here, it's going to give the Dark Elves some good stuff to work with. Look at those fireballs from the Supreme Sorceress. She's just been raining it down the whole time, working on the Empire leadership, and you can see that power bar swinging over, and it's looking quite good for the Dark Elves. There are some skirmishers back here, but as long as the cavalry gets dealt with, the Supreme Sorceress can actually take care of those in due time, if needed. And you got a Dark Rider with crossbows over here being used to chase off. Look at all the units it's controlling. Karl Franz, Marines, other units. Look at this. Demigryph Knight. Actually, the Marines are shattered, but there's a swordsman there. So I love how that one crossbow rider was able to contain all of these routing units. Very nice play by Regina to make sure that she didn't get regrouped on and beaten. So that is going to be the semifinals. And the final match is obviously going to be between myself and Regina, and we picked the worst map of them all, because it wouldn't be a dog dirt tournament unless you really brought out the dog dirt. So Regina and I will face each other with the random factions and autogen armies on the Altar of Ultimate Darkness, which is the Altar of Ultimate Trap maps. Good game by Regina. Nice try here by Navarro, or Fiendfire as he's listed on the Steam name. This is actually an interesting Empire army. This is actually one of the better Empire armies I've seen come out of the autogen. Doesn't make it good. And it was an interesting fight here. Clearly a huge infantry supremacy for the Dark Elves, which is no surprise, especially against the Empire. And the Empire just wasn't able to use this massive cavalry supremacy to overcome it enough, at least, right? I think that the cavalry and infantry fights would have had to been coordinated very closely together. Maybe even taking the Demigryph Knights, the standard ones without the halberds. If you could have somehow managed to charge them straight into the face of the Executioners before an engagement and then swing around and do more damage or something, because these guys can do a lot of damage on the charge. But I really liked the way Regina played it. Used what light cavalry and skirmishers she had to draw out that cavalry fight for as long as possible. Thought she did a good job there. So did Fiendfire. Fiendfire is going to get himself a $15 Steam card as well. And let's see what the final between Regina and myself turned out to be. All right, folks, here we are with the ultimate dog dirt on the Altar of Ultimate Darkness. I ended up with the Lizardmen, led by a red-crested Skink Chief, and Regina ended up with the Tomb Kings, led by the Grand Hierophant Katep. And let's take a look at the armies here. I'll slow it down just for a moment. I ended up with a Temple Guard and a couple of Saurus Spears. This is actually a pretty solid backbone of infantry, plus a couple of Saurus Warriors up front and a Skink cohort. My red-crested Skink Chief is on a Ripperdactyl Rider, which makes him decent armor piercing, better versus infantry, but at least highly mobile. I do have a Skink Chief, and this is my third battle straight without a caster, though I did get an Ancient Stegodon with an Engine of the Gods, so at least I kind of get a breath spell there. And I also have an Ancient Sally, who I know can be decent to help break up some infantry if I'm able to keep them alive long enough. And then there are 3 Chameleon Skinks in the back. So I really like that I got the Chameleon Skinks. I think that's going to be really good because they can slow down units and kind of keep fast-moving units out of the back. Katep is in a chariot, and obviously has all of his spells, which includes some sandstorms and other good stuff. Regina did get 2 Bo Shabti, one of which is the Chosen of the Gods, so this is going to be an extremely dangerous skirmishing component for me. And then from an infantry standpoint, there's a Tomb Guard, a Scorpion Legion, and a Skeleton Spear up front, and then some Nehekara Warriors, and she got the Kepra Tomb Guard as well. Very good infantry unit here. Magic damage, bonus versus infantry, and she's got a Tomb Prince on a horse here too, which is going to be, or Skeletal Steed I should say, which is also going to be good against large and armor. And then in the very back there is a Tomb Scorpion that's awaiting, a Standard Ushabti, and a Skeleton Chariot. So she does have some mobile contingent there as well. So it's going to be interesting. Infantry-wise, I mean, I feel like I have the infantry advantage for sure. Saurus Warriors are going to do very good against most Tomb King infantry, but Regina has some very high damage units here, and a Chariot is going to be a pain in the butt for me to deal with here, unless my Chameleon Skinks or other things can help slow it down. Right away, you're going to see some tremendous damage here coming in from the Bo Shabti. Meanwhile, I try and get a hit on the Kepra Tomb Guard, but because of this dog dirt map, it flies right over their head. And I'm going to have to pull back right away because the Bo Shabti are ripping apart my Sally. In fact, I ought to just go ahead and send him way out here. But of course, I can't always see this stuff that's cresting the hill. It would have just now become visible. So I can't just let the Sally, go out and get completely, completely singled out too. Look at the damage done by that Chariot into my Skinks. Tomb King Chariots are just such a pain in the butt. Incantation of Vengeance to take away my speed. And then you can see Katep getting in here. I think it actually hit his speed as well. But look at the damage he's doing early on. So great engagement by Regina early on my infantry. Blessed Saurus Warriors pounding into this infantry. They got Nehekara Warriors and a Spearman to deal with, but they'll do pretty good. And the same thing here with the Scorpion Legion. As long as I can keep Katep out of there, doing all right. But now the Scorpion's coming in too. That's going to be tough to deal with. I've also got my Temple Guard and my Saurus Spearman here. I'm going to go ahead and engage the Temple Guard. And the Bo Shabti just continue to slaughter. And my poor Ancient Salamander keeps running for his life. Hasn't even gotten a single kill yet because his shots keep going astray. I do manage to light up the Engine of the Gods here and do a little bit of damage to some of Regina's troops. My troops pulled forward as she retreated though, and so we probably both ended up taking a similar amount of damage here. But, you know, I'll take what I can get. It did a little bit of work. My Saurus Warriors in the middle holding up okay, but they're getting wrecked by a Tomb Prince and a Scorpion. These Bo Shabti were screwing me up so bad that I took my Chameleon Skinks over to let my Chameleon Skinks kind of just take them head on. The armor won't be great for my Skinks, but at least it'll give these Bo Shabti something to deal with and try and keep them off of my Salamander, who's finally getting a chance to take a couple shots. So I'm looking for the best blobs of infantry, and over here by my Stegodon, this is looking like a pretty good blob. Regina's putting up a very good fight so far. Yeah, that was a great hit from the Salamander. Picked up a ton of kills. But Regina saw that and immediately targets him with the Bo Shabti again. And the Salamander is going to get absolutely KO'd here very quickly. He did manage to finally get 50 kills in a couple of shots, which is huge because it hit the Kepra Tomb Guard. See here, the Stegodon's doing a good job. I've got a long wait before he's going to get another Engine of the Gods recharge. And this Tomb Scorpion has given me fits back here. Fortunately for me, the Temple Guards did tear through the Tomb Guard. And my Skink Chief is relatively untouched. And the Ushabti with Great Bow are finally getting some pretty significant damage dealt to him by my Chameleon Skinks. And Regina is just trying to use them to the best of her ability at this point, and she's doing pretty good. They've done a lot of damage. It's still a very close battle on the power bar, but I'm liking what's going on over here right now, at least for the moment. Not so much liking what's going on over here. Katep and his Scorpion and the Scorpion Legion are giving me fits, and then the Nehekara Warriors and Ushabti over here are giving my Saurus Warriors all they can handle, and then these Kepra Tomb Guard are being a real tough pain in the butt. And here comes Katep on top of all of it, charging my men in the back, or sorry, my lizard men in the back. Fortunately for me though, my red-crested Skink Chief is relatively safe. A sandstorm here, I'm very fortunate it didn't end my blessed Temple Guards, but it did some damage to them. And look over here, the Chameleon Skinks now just really starting to dish it out on the Ushabti, but I mean, they've spent most of their ammunition, so Regina has definitely gotten some work done out of them. She's clobbering some of my infantry. Now, Katep gets a little singled out here going after my Skink Chief. And I drop down on her with the red-crested skink, and I'm actually getting some work done. There comes the second alignment of the gods or whatever, and it's a good one. It helps to finish off most of the Kepler Tomb Guard, burning alignment. And so my Stegodon's gotten some pretty solid work done, but the Tomb Prince is giving him the business right now too. And Katep is not easy to kill. He's a slippery individual. But we got the Chosen of the Gods and the other Ushabti with the Great Bow dead. And this is going to leave my my Chameleons with an opportunity to try and deal with Katep, where the Scorpion's got 45 kills. Like I said, it's just been giving me absolute fits. The Scorpion Legion is still alive. The Kepler Tomb Guard just somehow keeps hanging in this because of their healing. So that's been incredible for Regina. They just rampaged my Blessed Saurus warriors. And then you can see, though, the Stegodon is really pulling his weight. And after a couple of good shots, Katep is actually now in pretty bad shape. The red-crested skink skink chief managed to get some real good damage done on Katep, at least even if it was just for a moment. The summoned Ushabti, though, catches my skink chief, and it's a pretty close fight, but I think definitely starting to favor me now, especially since the Scorpion is just going to get hit with a hail of poison javelins. I don't know how you poison an inanimate object like that, or an animated object. Used to be an inanimate object. It's now animated by the power of is it Nagash? No, they hated Nagash. I don't know, whatever power you want to call it. The Kimrian powers that be reanimated it. See, the Kepler Tomb Guard is starting to crumble, and now the Tomb Prince is going to get faced down by the Skink Chief. Now, this is a bit of a dangerous engagement because that Prince is anti-large, and he's got Tomb Strike on, so we'll see. But I do have some infantry supporting nearby, and I also have the Stegodon. The fight clearly starting to swing in my favor. And it looks like when life was a box of dog dirt, Heir ended up getting the best of the dog dirt, at least for the moment. What'd you all think? The first dog dirt tournament. Regina's also going to get herself a Steam card. In the future, if a player wins this that's not me, they will get a bigger Steam card. Okay, we'll give them something really special. And, of course, everybody will get it. So if you all enjoyed something like this, it doesn't always have to be a dog dirt tournament. We might just do a little more casual tournaments like this. Every week, probably every 2 weeks, but maybe sometimes once a week. This was just real quick, real casual fun. Appreciate all the players who participated. Regina, thank you for the awesome final game here. I actually felt like I ended up with a pretty good army here. Sure, I didn't have a caster, but I mean, this is a pretty well-rounded army. I got some anti-large, some nice anti-infantry, a little bit of range, a little bit of heavy hitters. Poor Salamander got absolutely pooped on, but I mean, at least he got a couple of really good shots into the Kepler Tomb Guard before he died. But props to Regina, a game well played, and thanks to all the other players. There you go, folks. First Dog Dirt tournament. And isn't it appropriate that Heir is the champion of Dog Dirt? I'm the crap champion. How about that? It's perfectly fitting me, a title that I deserve after years of missed micros and mistakes and all kinds of games and campaigns. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed it. HeirofCarthage signing out for now. I will see you all soon with some more Total War Warhammer 2 action.